Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. I bring you guys a brand new video today. Today we're going to be talking about Pokemon Sword and Shield and the starter Pokemon Scorbunny, the fire type rabbit starter. Now it's not a surprise that we got a rabbit starter if you follow the Chinese zodiac, as it does kind of indicate that a rabbit, snake, maybe even like an ox was coming next, but we did get our rabbit starter. That's pretty cool. And in this video, we're going to be talking about some evolutions and some possible evolution ideas for Scorbunny moving forward. So I already did Grookey and SOBBLE. You can check those out in the description below. You guys seem to love those videos, so thank you again for checking out my channel and checking out this video. So if you like this, hit that like button down below, and I want to see the Scorbunny squad, whatever you want to call yourselves, show up in the comments section below. Let me know why you think Scorbunny is the best of the starters and why you're excited about this little rabbit. Now, without further ado, let's kind of jump into things. So Scorbunny's a cool little rabbit dude. He's a fire type Pokemon. And he looks pretty interesting because, well, you know, one of the key aspects here, he's got these bandages on his nose and on his feet. And a lot of people are like immediately, oh my god, is it about to be a fire fighting starter once again? And I'll tell you why I don't think it'll be firefighting in this video. Very simply put, we've seen a lot of firefighting starters in the past. We've got Emboar, you got Blaziken, you got Infernape. There's a pretty good chance that we're gonna get something a little bit different this time. So let's kind of jump into it. So these are all the types that are available. We already know that Scorbunny is a fire type, and it's unlikely that it turns into a water type or, you know, a dragon, really. I don't see it going into being a grass type or a bug type, and you can kind of eliminate a lot of things. I've heard people say, oh, I think maybe it'll evolve into a normal type, but I really doubt that. I have a hard time kind of conceptualizing the idea of a starter Pokemon or any Pokemon really evolving into a normal type. It's not something you really have seen in the past in Pokemon, and I just don't see Scorbunny turning into a normal type, so we can kind of eliminate those things. But there's a core group of different types that I think people gravitated to when it came to Scorbunny, and those are these types here: Electric, Fairy, Fighting, Ground, and Steel. These are the most common of the types and the theories that I've heard of about Scorbunny. Primarily, we're going to talk about Fairy. I've seen a lot of people talk about Electric. There's some talk about Steel. And then obviously I mentioned Fighting and Ground. I would say Ground is probably the most of the outliers here. But hey, we could get a curveball. Rowlet turned into a ghost type, and I don't think anyone really saw that one coming, but this is what I would guess. I guess if you had to throw one extra thing in there, maybe you could throw Psychic in there, but I'm just really not anticipating it. And I guess in some regards, I can almost conceptualize the idea of a rock type, only if that rock is a soccer ball and he starts throwing it around. But either way, a lot of people are theorizing that Scorbunny maybe has something to do with sports. Scorbunny, kind of like Scorch Rabbit, as well as soccer or football, as it's referred to in the UK. So perhaps there'll be some sort of sports reference with Scorbunny, and maybe the starters will follow a sports theme. Maybe there's that theme that we've discussed before where it's like kind of sports, music for Grookey, and then theater for SOBBLE. Perhaps there'll be some different theme altogether, but it does feel like Scorbunny does have some sort of tie-in to sports. But again, so could Grookey. We've talked about Grookey being a cricket player or some sort of an athlete that way. So there's a lot of potential there, but we'll talk about a couple different designs that kind of indicate that maybe these types could come true, and we'll go from there. So I think, like, talking about Steel, I think a lot of people think maybe Steel because they think that the trailer kind of hinted at something. The Scorbunny runs up a big steel gear in the trailer. That may indicate something. I think people want Electric because maybe he can gather electricity through his feet or something like that because he moves so fast. Not really sure. It's a type that's really not used. Rotom Heat has Electric and Fire, but other than that, we've never gotten a Fire Fairy before, so I think a lot of people are gravitating towards that as a possibility in terms of Sword and Shield introducing new types, which I definitely think is a definitely realistic that they're going to introduce some new types. Fighting, of course, we've seen it many times, and I can definitely see this thing turning way too much like Mega Lopunny. Hopefully it doesn't. I think they go a different direction, though. I really don't think it'll be Fighting. And then Ground, I just feel like I could... Fire Ground's kind of cool. We have it with like Camerupt and stuff. I'm not necessarily sold on that. I'm definitely on the train of Fairy, personally. If I had to pick one, I'd say Fairy, or actually just Mono Fire would be my best guesses. So there was a huge kind of rumor slash leak that was going around for a really long time talking about armored Pokemon. There was a guy who posted that the games were called Sword and Shield like 2 weeks before they came out. And he also mentioned that it was armored evolutions. I really haven't covered it too much in depth because I was waiting for a little bit more info about it. It was a big rumor that got spread, and this was kind of one of the first of the concept arts that kind of came out for those armored evolutions of Scorbunny becoming kind of steel type in a way where it completely changes its design. It gets like this kind of almost iron suit on it, and it can fly around and do all sorts of stuff. And Fire Steel is really cool. I mean, Heatran has that typing, but it could be really unique. I'm really not thinking it's gonna go this way, but kind of a cool idea. I mean, I hope we don't get armor though, personally. Like, I'm not a big fan of the idea of armor. Maybe it ends up being implemented and it's awesome and all that stuff, but I'm not really the biggest armor guy myself. So this is a really cool design, and this one like spread like wildfire after, again, that one post was just like, hey, there's armored Pokemon. It's called Sword and Shield, and it's gonna get announced in a few weeks, and then it did get called Sword and Shield. But again, it felt like pretty random. And of course, you'll see a lot of these leaks or rumors or fake art or whatever. You know, they kind of have this little confidential tag on them, and they're really trying to replicate what happened with Decidueye, Incineroar, and Primarina back before the Sun and Moon launch. For those who weren't around, images spread around the internet. A lot of people thought they were fake, but they ended up actually being real. So we ended up seeing the final evolutions of the starters in Sun and Moon months before they actually were revealed. So you never know. I'm gonna write this one off as not being real, obviously, but still pretty crazy. And I just want to mention that all the artists and the links to the sources are in the description below if you want to check them out. Support the artists. We've got this one here. This is probably the latest of the, hey, is this real question mark starters. I personally say no, but it's pretty interesting. I can see the middle evolution, definitely. The final evolution I'm not really seeing. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a track star. It almost kind of has some like clowny type vibes. I don't know, man. I'm kind of a weird design. And there's 3 starters basically. I think we showed the Grookey one, or maybe I skipped it, but it's like a really tall and thin kind of Grookey Evo with like a big staff, and then you know, SOBBLE's Evo has like a shield on it with like armor and stuff like that. So kind of a very different, like almost a knight-esque. And those 3 kind of leaked simultaneously or were shared simultaneously, and a lot of question marks whether they were legit or not. I'm gonna just throw that out there that I personally don't think this is the evolutions under any circumstances, but I suppose we'll find out. But definitely an interesting concept and kind of a different approach. And I want to show you guys a couple different approaches to Scorbunny in terms of more masculine evolutions, more feminine evolutions, and kind of just some different typing ideas. This one is definitely one of my favorites. I think this is definitely a middle evolution, but kind of same idea of, you know, people making these fakes, leaks or whatever to try to make it seem legit. And I really like the idea of the soccer ball, like making a fire soccer ball and kind of kicking it around, maybe throwing it and doing all these different things with it as its main form of like to attack. Very cool stuff, and just a really cool design in general. So I love the concept there, and I really do hope Scorbunny does go that sports route, because I think there could be a lot of opportunities there in terms of it developing into a really cool looking Pokemon. I mentioned the masculine feminine idea, and I think if any of the 3 starters kind of goes a more feminine route, it would be Scorbunny. So that's just something to note for anyone who's you know, not that there's anything wrong with that, it's just simply the past couple generations we've seen, you know, one of the starters, or, you know, something kind of a little bit more towards a more feminine type design. This is probably my favorite of the designs so far by 50 Shades of Heliolisk. This artist is phenomenal, and they've actually done some art in the past that got spread pretty crazily. There was 3 starters, a platypus, a little monkey, and then actually a fire rabbit Flambit, which all got spread around the internet, and it was 50 Shades of Heliolisk who actually was the one who kind of trolled it. Great art. What actually turned out to be kind of crazy is the platypus art, if you guys remember, ended up being purchased and used for a campaign for Temtem, which is a game coming out. And then the fire art, the little flame rabbit Flambit, I believe it was called, is actually going to be in a game called Snap Beast, which is really cool. So the artist has done some really amazing things, and this is probably my favorite of the art so far. Like, I just feel like this takes Flambunny from being, or Scorbunny from being a, you know, a little cute little rabbit dude to being like a super edgy, like really cool looking starter. And like, I'll be honest, if this is anything close to what the final evolution of Scorbunny is, like I could totally see myself like jumping into Team Scorbunny. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, because this final evolution is phenomenal, and I just got to give so much props to the artist 50 Shades of Heliolisk, because I just love these designs. I think the middle evolution is like enough of a difference without being too much of a difference, like a really good middle evolution, but that final evolution is just top tier, dude. Just absolute positive top tier. I just love this design. I'm not sure the typing that they intended. I think maybe pure fire, maybe even fire fighting. But I think the firefighting actually kind of fits. There's actually some vibes in there, kind of making me think like a little Blaziken-esque. But I really like this design because I feel like it's not too masculine, it's not too feminine. Like, it's like right in the middle. It's got like a lot of edge to it. I just really think this is a super duper good design. So big fan there. This is an electric fire type concept here, where Scorbunny kind of evolves into like a really fast kind of electric rabbit. Cool idea. definitely pretty neat. I still have a hard time like totally feeling like it's gonna be electric. I almost feel like fairy or just pure fire makes the most sense to me, but yeah, I feel like it's a really big stretch. I don't know. I'm like, I can see how people would gravitate towards electric as being a secondary typing, you know, but I just personally don't think it's gonna happen. But definitely a pretty interesting concept here, and we'll definitely see what happens with little Scorbunny. This one I love too. Another idea of kind of an electric type starter where Scorbunny turns into fire electric. It kind of, I don't know, I would say in terms of these two designs, there's some similarities there for sure. In terms of kind of what people are imagining. So it's interesting to look at these designs and think back, and then, you know, once we do start to get the evolutions, like once we get the middle evolution, there's gonna be a whole new set of people coming out with new fan art and new designs and things like that. Once we get the final evolution, then we can look back at these videos, and this is one of the reasons why I'm doing it, is we can look back and we could see, you know, how close was the audience, how close was the Pokemon fan base to actually nailing it and saying, hey, you know, we're pretty darn close with this fan art. Maybe, who knows, man, that's pretty cool stuff. And this is the final fire electric design. I love the idea of the soccer ball and just the ball in general. And this one's like a fire electric type ball that gets kicked around. Just some really cool ideas. A lot of fire electric designs, some maybe firefighting designs, as I mentioned. Fire fairy is obviously a big possibility. And that's really the big question marks here, is like, what is going to be the final typing? I wouldn't be surprised if it stays pure fire, though. I genuinely feel that way. Let me know in the comment section below if you're team Scorbunny, and let me know what type do you think its final evolution is going to be. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hit that like button down below if you did. Subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, talking about some Pokemon Sword and Shield. My name is Dan. I also go by aDrive, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.